All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Pressing Buttons. And today we're talking about zombies, a pursuer who just does not know when to quit, and viruses. And of all times for this game to come out is when we're actually dealing with a virus.
Sir, you're not supposed to use the V word, sir. I hope you know that. No, I'm just joking. You can do that.
We're gonna use it. Notice I said virus, but I'm not gonna say said virus's name.
I saw somebody do a video on that and it was like, I don't want to use virus. I'm like, dude, what does it matter? You're talking about Resident Evil. I think we know what it's about. Like, come on, But
Especially when you look at that opening.
You know what? I'm all about burying the lead. So you know what, man, we might as well go negative because I would like to end this episode on some happy stuff. So let's go negatives about. So Resident Evil. We're talking about Resident Evil 3 remake, and there's a lot of pointed contentions. Some is in hindsight, after really going through the game top to bottom, me and Sue played all the difficulties. I'm currently playing Inferno. I'm almost done with it. I'm kind of dreading the final boss, but I'll talk about that in a moment. Played it top to bottom. It has a lot of good moments and such, but the bad stuff. So there's four things that the game took out of Resident Evil 3 remake that compared to the original one. So you have the mercenaries, which was the big thing in Resident Evil 3, because in Resident Evil 3, for those that don't remember, because I'm seeing a lot of people that don't remember, you could play as Jill.
You could play as Jill, Nikolai.
Basically the whole was it the Umbrella?
No, I remember. It was Jill, Nikolai, Carlos, and I believe you could play as Mikhail.
Yeah, Mikhail and Hunk.
And Hunk, yeah.
Yeah, Hunk. Because Hunk was the special character that you can play as and stuff. With Nikolai being the hardest, because all the thing he has is a fucking pistol and a goddamn knife. And everybody else had, a lot of ammo and stuff. And it made for a very interesting thing. You get a good grade on it. If you get an A grade, you get a lot of points, which goes into you going to the store and using it for buying, weapons like infinite weapons and stuff. Kind of like the remake, but the remake does it a little bit differently.
Yeah, it does it very differently.
So you have the mercenaries, which is gone. The second one was the live choices, which was interesting because the live choices gave you a couple of things. So say for example, one of the live choices is when you're facing Nemesis on the bridge, you had the choice to either A, push him off the bridge, or B, leap off the bridge. If you left off the bridge, then you get the ending where old boy saves you in the helicopter.
Oh yeah, when Barry comes to rescue you.
Barry fucking Burton saves you and gets you in the helicopter instead of Carlos. Was it Carlos?
No, Carlos will still be there. Yeah. But he'll say that there was another chopper that's coming and it's here to rescue you specifically.
Yeah. So there was that. You had another live choice. A lot of live choices came down to do you fight Nemesis or do you keep going and stuff. And a lot of times you fought Nemesis and you get special parts for your weapons and stuff. And a lot of it was if you fought Nemesis right then and there, you don't have to worry about going into a different section of the game and dealing with him popping up and stuff. But on top of that, you had the clock tower segment. Now,
that was by far one of my favorite moments in the original RE3 was the clock tower.
Now, at first, I was sitting up there tripping, because I was one of those people. I was like, oh, you didn't really need a clock tower. But then it didn't click in my head until you get to the part of the game where the train crashes and stuff. And I was sitting back, you get out, you're getting out the subway system. I'm like, okay, I guess this is going to be the part where Jill is going to have to escape from the underground section and stuff before she has to face Nemesis. And I'm thinking, okay, it's going to be a pretty decent amount of section. And within literally 30 seconds, boom, you're out the subway system and you're out there in the clock tower courtyard fighting Nemesis. And I'm like, hold up. Am I missing something?
It wasn't the same.
And that's the problem in the fact that that's when it clicked in my head. Now, For me, I'm lenient to the extent where I get it, but at the same time, that was probably the one thing which I'm like, the game could have kept in it.
See,
Even if people felt it was padding, they could have kept at least like, okay, she escapes from the subway, and say she leaves out the subway underground and she pops up in the clock tower. That would have been a good segue. Like, okay, she has to solve a puzzle to escape the clock tower, and then boom, you're in the courtyard. That would have been a good segue. Easy.
here's the thing with that. Actually, it wasn't even so much that. It was this. With regards to the clock tower, when she arrives at the clock tower, she fights Nemesis after doing the clock puzzle.
Yeah.
And in fact, Nemesis shows up at 2 points. He'll show up when she makes her way back to the door, and you can choose to electrocute him or push him off or something like that. You know, you get those choices right then and there.
Yeah.
The other thing after that is once you completed all the puzzles for Jill in the clock tower, she'll make her way out the door. The bell rings. The chopper shows up. Nemesis shoots it down, and it is by far one of the most iconic moments in that game. What they did with this remake is first of all, they had the chopper scene show up super early, like right at the beginning of the game.
Yeah.
And when Jill makes her way to the parking garage, she has to get to the parking garage roof to catch the chopper, and the chopper just randomly gets blown up by a random shot. Like, first of all, and I felt like number one, how could that chopper get blown up by a rocket when Nemesis doesn't pull out the rocket launcher until much later in the game?
It didn't even feel like it was hit by a rocket. It just felt like something hit it and it just exploded. Because I didn't even hear a rocket sound. It was just boom. And I'm like, did he throw something at the chopper?
Yeah, but that was their way of doing it. Like, Nemesis caused that chopper to blow up because the chopper blows up, crashes, and look who's right there on the roof of the parking garage with you. It's him.
And then something thrown at it. It's like, okay, I'll buy that because, hey, cool, Nemesis can do that shit. But it's like, I just saw him explode. I'm like, what the fuck did that come from? And then, like you said, the direction he's coming from, I'm like, that's not lining up here. Like,
yeah, it didn't line up. And then with you on the parking garage with Nemesis, the game goes into Resident Evil 7 territory by having Jill get into a car to run Nemesis off the roof.
Which I'm fine with. I mean, shit, fuck it. You only got like a pistol at that point. This was like, shit, I gotta do something. So
I mean, I was fine with it too, but it just reminded me too much of RE7.
Yeah,
okay.
I mean, I like RE7 straight up.
I like it too, but I mean, the way I felt was, come on. There are a lot of iconic moments from the original game that you could have pulled from.
Yeah.
But I get it. You're gonna do a nod to RE7 because that was a big moment in that game that happened. Fine, cool. Yeah, do your one nod. I'll give you that.
So,
but in this game, but hold on. But in this game, with the clock tower being in the background and you being across the river, you run. And then you eventually do make it to the clock tower because that form of Nemesis is transformed into what I would probably say is a form I was not happy with. I did not like seeing him become this oversized licker, so to speak.
I mean, I was cool with it. It kind of raised the tension up because it was either that or him having the tentacles out and that's who you're fighting kind of thing and stuff. And like I said, I think it was one. Okay, so basically, because you got that, and I think the last aspect of it was how they implemented Nemesis. Because I think, and I had to really think back on this stuff, because I was looking back at some of the walkthroughs for Resident Evil 3. So a lot of people were disappointed in how they implemented Nemesis in this game, and I get that to a degree. And what I figured out was this. So in the original game, the biggest point of contention with him following you was that you had a bigger map to work with.
Yeah.
Now, granted, you had a bigger map that all kind of felt the same, but a lot of it was a lot of backtracking and all that stuff. So that's where the tension of Nemesis comes in. Now, in this game, the game kind of puts you in a position to where you can backtrack before Nemesis even comes to the fold, which is kind of cheating a little bit.
But it's not even so much that you can do it before he shows up. The problem is that in the remake, Nemesis is extremely scripted. And he only shows up at key points in the game. Like, there's no getting around that.
And it's only when you put it on Nightmare and Inferno that's when we get random nemesis in there.
Right.
And and, and,
Whereas
and, and,
opposed,
and that's and I think that's where it boosted it up for me. But like to me at the same time, you could have kept that in normal and
that's what I'm
hardcore
saying.
difficulty.
That's exactly what I was saying. You could have put all that stuff that we had to go through all these nightmarish difficulties for. You could have had this in the original game.
Because Nightmare and let me tell you something, Nightmare and Inferno, what I love about those difficulties, even if you have infinite weapons, your butt is still clenching. Because number one, they change the enemy layouts. They change how many enemies you fight. And it ain't just, oh, well, more zombies. No, 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 no. Some of the zombies you fight near the end of the game pop up at the beginning of the fucking game.
Right, like the gammas for example.
Yeah.
I can take this back to the was it the Ghost Survivor scenarios from RE2 Remake,
Mm-hmm.
where the monsters that were inside the sewer, like the G babies,
Yep.
they would show up in the police station.
Which fucks you up because you're like, oh shit, like I was not expecting that. Because again, and I think that's what makes like that's what boosted it up. But it's like, yeah, it's good. And it, like I said, it keeps you on your toes, straight up. It makes you actually actively use the dodge system, which actually is pretty good. It's actually pretty fun to use, honestly, and stuff. I
Yeah,
think it's like
it's
perfect.
very fun to use when you time it right. But and one of the reasons why I felt like holy crap, I definitely got to be on my like be on my toes for Nightmare and Inferno because the gammas one shot you.
Open their mouths. You better shoot or you're dead.
It's like either shoot, run, dodge, do something because as big as they are, and you're in this tight confined hallway, dude, turn and run
I
because
mean, look, there's one point in the sewers, right? Um, yeah, because the tadpole things are the gammas, right?
yeah, they're the
Okay,
gammas.
so on Nightmare and Inferno, you're in the sewers. So there's one point where you're walking towards the door that had to get the device to unlock the doors and stuff before you come back. And there's a part where you round the corner and on your right side is like a little waterfall thing. If you go through there, you can get some shotgun bullets and a foul. I didn't know on Nightmare difficulty there was a gamma behind the waterfall. So I walked past it because I was like, well, I don't need it. I'm trying to speed run it. And I see a gamma come out the sewer like normal. Didn't know there was one behind me, got eaten. And I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. Where did this come from?
Yes, yes, dude. Okay, look, I had a moment like that too on hardcore. Now, I know sometimes zombies will just come out of nowhere.
That's scary in
It
and of itself. It's like, oh, shit.
Because not only do they come out of nowhere, they are ninjas. They're freaking ninjas about it. I could have sworn I had killed 3 zombies that were already outside. You know when you go get the shotgun?
Mm-hmm.
Right in front of that, I guess right in front of that pharmacy.
Yeah.
I killed the 2 zombies there, and I ran over to bust open the box so I can grab the herb, right?
Yeah.
But then there was a other zombie that came around. I was like, oh, okay, let me just go ahead and take my time shooting him. Little did I know that underneath that wrecked car was a zombie that crawled from under it, silent as all get out, and jumped behind me and scared the bejesus out of me.
And that speaks to what the complaints of the game because, like, I know me and you were talking about this and stuff. So I'll say this: I don't feel RE3 remake was rushed. What I do feel Capcom did was they streamlined the game to make the story more palatable versus how it was in Nemesis, where it was a bit of a confusion and mess to a degree. I can at
I
least.
mean, yeah, I get it. It was a confusion lore-wise because you didn't know which one was canon, which ending was canon and all that. I get that.
So at the
Fine.
same time, with them streamlining the story, and like I said, I dig what they're doing with Nemesis and making him, even with the scripted scenarios, making him this threat and stuff, because one of the biggest things that they do in this game is, in the original one, we knew Nikolai was keeping tabs on Nemesis, getting data and stuff, but we never knew, like, data for fucking what. And then,
Yeah, that he was with a rival company.
yeah, we didn't know that and stuff. Now, knowing what we know about Umbrella from Umbrella Chronicles and stuff, I'm just going to surmise that it was Wesker that he was working for. Even though I think in the original game, he was actually working for old boy that works for the Russian Umbrella European branch. I'm trying to remember who it was.
God, what was it? The UBCS or something like that?
Yeah, it was UBCS and stuff, but yeah, he worked for him and stuff because that dude really was just kind of like, well, I'm gonna take over Umbrella, and him and Wesker had basically, a power struggle, so to speak. But in this game, they really emphasize like Nikolai is a fucking dick, like straight up through and through.
Oh yeah.
And like you get the file at the end that explains that, oh, he really was keeping tabs on Jill the whole fucking time. Like,
Yep.
that was his aim. He was keeping tabs, and I appreciate that. But at the same time, it was like, all right, to streamline the story, you could have kept some elements in. Like I said, I think if they kept the clock tower in, I could live without the live choices. Cause I think the clock tower,
Yeah, because the
clock tower really is something that if you at least had that in there, I don't care what the fuck you did. It could be Jill having to go to the top to get a radio and then whatever, something. Give me a reason to go in the clock tower, and I'll be fine with what you didn't put in the game on the other stuff. That I can live with that ultimately.
That's what I've been saying this whole time was you needed the clock tower in this game. Dude, like, okay, here's
and
here's
Gravedigger.
this-
Sorry,
I'm getting. No, see, I was getting.
for you, man.
No. Don't worry. That's been on my mind. I was going to get to that. What, like, another scenario I was going to point out was this. See, with people who say, "Oh, it was fine the way it is. You didn't need the clock tower." Okay, let's go back and play RE2 Remake. Imagine if the alligator was never in it.
I mean, technically, you might as well say he isn't because you're just fucking dodging this shit.
Yeah, it became like more of a.
I'm not mad at that, but yeah, it is kind of like...
No, but I mean, just, I don't care how they put it in the game, but just imagine if it wasn't there.
Yeah, you're just in the sewer shooting zombies and that's it. It'd be like, oh,
yeah,
well, that's fine, I guess.
I mean, no nod, you don't even hear it, you don't see it, no interaction,
not
nothing.
Even a foul, just not even a foul. Like, yeah, we used to have alligators in here, but not anymore. And it's like, oh, that's sad.
And even then, people would have called that, and even then, if you did something like that, I would be right there on the front lines calling that crap cheap.
It's like, you gave me a file. The fuck?
Like a file of a picture of it? I'm like, give me a break. Somebody couldn't program this? No. That's why I said you take one of the biggest elements, one of the biggest moments from the old game, mm-hmm. and you make all of this stuff and you don't put the classic elements from the old game in this new game, which is why this game feels more like a reimagination than an actual remake.
Yeah, I mean, it's put it this way, in the grand scheme, it's a good companion piece for RE2, straight up, just like RE3 Nemesis was intended to be, anyways. Because if for those that don't know the history for RE3 Nemesis, we were supposed to go from Resident Evil 2 straight to Code Veronica. We were supposed to go straight to that, and it was like, no, let's do something else, and it's like, all right, cool. And then we got Nemesis and stuff, which was, like I said, a pretty good idea at the time and stuff. It was very much like a huge deal and stuff. But that too, again, short game, but it was a short game that had some stuff that like people can let go of the fact that, okay, it was short, but you still gave us puzzles and you gave us these things. All right, cool.
Which kind of feels like, unlike RE2 Remake, where that game was, pretty puzzle heavy, this game, RE3 doesn't really have that element of puzzles. It was more so, go get this piece to get, to make this thing work. That's really all it was. It
was basically Escape from Raccoon City by any means. That's all it was.
Yeah,
which I mean, that's what Nemesis is technically, but yeah,
Escape from Raccoon City, but it's like, go get this piece to get this thing working. Go get this piece to open this door. Go get this piece to turn on all these different power terminals. Get the power turn back on. Yes, those type of padding missions. Get the power turn back on.
Look, I'm fine with those things because it's a goal. But
right,
yeah.
And don't mistake me saying this as me hating it. No, I'm used to this in Resident Evil games. But
four especially, Jesus Christ, 4 especially.
Yeah, four had that a lot. With this one, I did like seeing. Oh, I get to pick up a water hose. Okay, let's attach it to this fire hydrant, and I get to put out some water. Now, were you like me in thinking that once you put out the water, and the moment you took those first 5 steps, we were going to get that cutscene of Nemesis busting through a wall?
Look, I'll tell you what, man. Like, I wish.
I was sitting here contemplating life choices. Like, okay, I already played the demo. I swear, if I take this few steps, he's gonna bust through that wall. I'm gonna see that cutscene, and then I gotta fight him in this alley, and I'm not gonna like it. But no, the real game actually surprised you. That doesn't happen.
Look, you know what though? When you're turning on the power, I actually thought the fucking gammas were gonna pop up there. That scared the because I was like, damn, if the
Oh,
gammas
you talking about the wait? You're talking about the brain demos?
yeah, I actually thought they were gonna pop up when you turn the power on because it may be because I got thrown off because I don't know whether it was just the early demo of RE3 when they first premiered it, when they showed the gammas. I thought that was going to be where you turn the power on. Cause maybe
Oh no,
am I going crazy? Because didn't they show a scene where you turn the power on, the gammas are in there, or am I tripping?
no. The scene when you turn the power on, the brain demos show up. That was that area that had all like those crazy spider eggs and all that. Which, by the way, this game caused some major confusion with a lot of people. Before the game came out, I remember Capcom or somebody at Capcom said, "Yeah, spiders are returning." It was it was some news article that was saying we're getting the return of spiders in
If it
RE3
ain't
remake.
tarantula spiders, it ain't spiders. I'm
I
sorry.
mean, we didn't even get the, and you know what? That was something else I was kind of upset about in RE2 remake. Now, I mean, CJ, I know you hate spiders, but for me, I was expecting the remake of RE2 to give us actual spiders again
I think
because
they
you
just
actually,
didn't care. I think they were just like, no, we got a good enough amount of stuff. We're fine. I think that was the thing. It's kind of like how in RE3 people wanted the Ravens. I'm like, why the fuck would you want zombie
yeah,
Ravens?
well,
Fuck
you
you,
know what? I'll
dude.
give you that. I'll give you that. They actually made sure that the Ravens were not in the game. They took out the
Them
Ravens.
shits were a pain in the fucking ass.
They were. They took out the Ravens. They took out the spiders. They kept the zombie dogs. But when I look at Remake 3, not only did we not get the Return of Spiders, instead we got the Brain Demos fine, but the Brain Demos were a lot smaller compared to how they were in RE3. As a matter of fact, in the original RE3, you would think the Chimeras from RE1 remake, how big they were, you'd have thought you thought we were going to get the return of them in this game as the Brain Demos. But instead we did get Brain Demos, they're just a lot smaller. In fact, they reminded me of the bugs when you're going through that cave in RE5.
Yeah.
Now you remember those, right?
Yeah, I remember.
They were very annoying. They would always jump and cause damage. These ones, however, okay, I just want to know who at Capcom, what programmer at Capcom was having the craziest hentai fantasies because we got this, and I'm gonna call it what it is. We got this quote unquote problematic cutscene.
Comes out the blue, man. It's like she's
It comes
unlocking it,
clear
and
out
the
of the
creature
blue.
comes down. And again, it's very tongue in cheek because in a game where not NPC characters get bitten and they're zombies, the characters can get bitten on the shoulder and all that shit, and no zombie, nothing, they're fine, no problem. And that scene really emphasizes she gets infected, and I'm like, I seem to remember reading files in this game where people got them shits in their bodies and they died. Other than that one dude that was like, my grandmother told me to take some green herbs, and boom, you cured.
Yeah, in her case, she had to get it firsthand I mean, by interacting with a brain demo and literally showing what that mouth do.
No, don't go get twisted. Them shits are fucking bitch and a half on higher difficulties. But yeah, it's
You got to keep them herbs on standby like
oh, because
ASAP
they'll jump out of
because
nowhere. You turn power on, all of a sudden turn around. Oh, they're in your mouth. Fuck.
yep. And I'm just saying that first cutscene, they just really, really emphasized like her reaction to her dealing with what's happening in that moment. And I swear, when I first saw that scene, I was like, "Oh man, this is gonna be a problem."
Dude, you come
I
down
was
the stairs
I
and
was
you
like,
see
"This
two
scene,
herbs sitting there on the fucking damn on the shelf. You already knew what the deal was at that point.
dude." When I saw like, no, it was just a cutscene. When I saw the cutscene, I said, well, here comes our very first Kotaku article.
Well, you know what I thought was going to happen? I thought either A, they were going to do one of those QuickTime button presses where you can avoid that. That's what I thought
Yeah,
it was, to where it's
yeah,
like, all right,
you
if
would
you get
think of all.
infected, do this, or B, you press this button and you can cut it off you and it runs off somewhere or some shit.
I mean, she's trying to force it, and of course she throws it up after you use the herb or first aid spray. But there was a lot of moments like this. I mean, with Nemesis pulling out the tentacle, and then when he actually gets mutated further, it becomes like one gigantic tentacle that's always trying to choke her.
I mean, look.
She is always getting strapped up. Like she's always getting strung up by a tentacle, getting choked out by a tentacle, and I'm just laughing at this whole thing. Like, I get it, Capcom. I get it. Somebody really likes seeing Jill in these situations.
I mean, look, shout outs to her updated outfit. I actually like that way more than her old outfit, easily.
Look, I'm still a fan of her classic outfit. I love the tube top and skirt with the, with the tie jacket.
Hey, that shit was not cool. Fucking realistic at all.
It wasn't realistic, but remember, she was on her way out the door, and we never saw how she was leaving her apartment because you remember the opening explosion. She combat rolls and she's got a pistol or an assault rifle in her arms, and you just make your way down the street, shooting zombies.
Granted, you put on the Stars outfit. I'm like, your Stars outfit is ridiculous. Meanwhile, Chris and them got fucking vests on and shit, and I'm like, how the hell did you not get a vest, Jill? What's going on here?
Yeah, she traded in a vest for shoulder pads.
What the fuck the shoulder pads going to do? Is like they bulletproof shoulder pads?
But but hey,
I like the details. I like the details on that, and also her old outfit, because they kind of low key did a different change for if you can actually swap to her old outfit from the original game, and it's like it's not really a skirt so much. It's like, I guess, boy short type skirt or some shit like that, which I mean, it's fine, it works just the same.
I mean, it's not like a tight binding, hip hugging skirt that she's rocking. Yeah. I mean, it is still a skirt. I mean, the girls look, I don't want to say it's her day off, but but according to this game, she's packing up to leave Raccoon City.
Yeah, and they also changed up oh boy, getting how he gets killed, because I actually like
Brad Vickers.
I actually like the way he gets killed here versus how he was in the original, because I felt he was more of a throwaway in the original.
Well, okay, I guess let me run through that lore real quick. So in the original RE2, Brad Vickers, being the helicopter pilot who gives you the rocket launcher in the first Resident Evil game,
throws it down to you and gives you
just tosses it down. Just matter of fact, hold on, let me point out. I gotta point out something with that. CJ, how do you toss down a loaded rocket launcher from that high off the ground and nothing? It doesn't accidentally misfire or nothing.
Magic.
Anyway, he gives you the rocket launcher in the first game. In the second game, if you play the the DualShock? Yeah, the DualShock version of RE2. You have to play through the game without picking up any. I think you play through the game without picking up anything.
Yeah.
Sorry, you play through that beginning scenario all the way up until you reach the who was it? You have to reach the RPD. You reach the police station without grabbing any items, right? And then you make your way down the stairs. And as soon as you get down the stairs, that's when you see Brad as a zombie. And the whole time you're wondering, how did he become a zombie? Fast forward to RE3 Nemesis. Nemesis infected him, / killing him. Thus, he became a zombie. This time around, it turned into a Walking Dead scenario where he's blocking the door. The zombies managed to break through. One of them bites him on the arm, and I'm thinking, okay.
Once you heard crunch, it was a wrap.
I was like this: give him a first aid spray, and he's good to go. First aid spray, some herbs.
He doesn't have plot armor, sir. That doesn't work. Sorry.
Look, I figured with this remake they were going to serve him up for Nemesis again, but no. Instead, he's holding back the door. I wanted to see, hey, can I go back inside the building and watch him get torn to shreds by zombies? No, it's just you just got to keep it moving and just hear Jill save him all the way outside the door. Sorry, Brad.
I thought it was actually cool that it picks up and showing how old boy gets bit in RE2 and stuff. And I was like, oh shit.
I was getting to that. So the whole time you wonder, how did Marvin Branagh, the black guy in RE2 remake, how did he get bit? And when you take over Carlos and you're running through with Tyrell, you see that this random zombie shows up, and I'm like, oh, there's the cut scene that they showed from the trailer of Marvin holding a pistol. I'm like, yo, what's going on with this? And that's when we see zombified Brad, who looked like he freshly turned because he was still able to talk, and that's what threw off Marvin, and that's what got him bit.
I don't want to shoot you. And I'm like, you made the first mistake that you do in the zombie apocalypse. Never have feelings. You should have put a bullet in his head off rip.
Which is why he tells Leon straight up, if you see someone, uniform or not, you do not hesitate. You shoot him or you run.
Speaking of which, Carlos has the funniest lines when he's in the police station. It's fucked up. I had to shoot a cop, man.
There was, you know what? He did have some interesting lines. He had that line, and my other line, Marvin runs inside the police station. Door was locked, and Tyrell manages to get the door open.
AKA
now we run it, bruh. Okay. Yes. Discount Tay Diggs with extra muscle.
Shout out to Godchild on that one, because I was playing it. He's like, man, that dude look like a fucking bulky Tay Diggs. I was like, shit, he does. God damn.
He does. He looks way too much like Tay Diggs. So anyway, when they get inside the police station, Carlos, hey, I wonder where that cop went. Don't know and don't care. I'm like,
apparently old boy disappears, and I think...
Dude, he didn't just disappear. This guy had... again, he's black, so he had pure black people speed because you don't know where he went.
I mean, I thought it was interesting, too, in how where the state of the police station was up to that point, because, like, there's clear sections that's blocked off. You finally understand what happened inside that hallway. It was a liquor.
Yeah.
Like we fucking knew it was a liquor. If you play on Nightmare and Inferno, there's an extended section with Brad where... because Brad can take so much bullets, you don't necessarily have to kill him out in the courtyard. He'll pop up later on in the game and stuff when you go inside the locker room and stuff. And like I said, it's interesting in and of itself. It gives a little bit more of a extension for Brad and stuff, but it's definitely creepy, like I said, on a higher difficulty, because that's when it really gets the tension is high and all that stuff. But it definitely shows where the state of the police station was at and stuff, and just the fact that shit was already fucked up. I mean, hell, they blocked off doors.
Yeah, doors were blocked off. A lot of the rooms that had the motorized, the electronic shutters, those stayed closed.
Yep. So clearly, we were in the early stages of shit was happening in the police station, but it didn't get bad just yet. But it was almost there, basically.
And the other part, where was it? When you run through with the liquor, which, by the way, that's the newest entry that was added to RE2 Remake, was the return of liquors, because they weren't in the original game.
Oh boy, do they come through. Again, Nightmare and Inferno, them motherfuckers come out of nowhere.
Yeah, once I saw that liquors were popping up, I'm like, oh, so we actually do got to deal with liquors even though we're back in this police station. Great.
Ooh,
great. Now, did you see that part where you go inside the other room to open up that chest, where you see the Welcome Leon sign? Did you see that part with Carlos?
He was just looking like, yeah, I bet he had a great welcome. And I'm like, oh, he ain't quite there yet, sir.
I'm like, he ain't there yet.
But he'll know. He'll know. Well, you know what I find it interesting, too, is Jill makes a good point later on when she's going inside the Umbrella facility. Nobody in the hospital knew about this. And I'm like, well, of course they didn't, because Umbrella kept that shit on the fucking low.
And Leon brought up that same thing in RE2 Remake where, when you decided to go down that tunnel that was being worked on, and he was talking with Ada, he was like, I don't understand. How is it that the city did not know about a giant pharmaceutical company operating a laboratory underneath the city, and no one reported this to the authorities? Mm-hmm. Ada had the best response. Welcome to corporate America.
Yeah, I mean, because you find out in RE2 Remake, Chief Irons definitely had a hand in a lot of the corruption that was happening. Big time.
Yeah, he did. I mean, come on. I mean, what police chief on a police chief's salary is going to be that into taxidermy?
And I think that's the biggest thing with RE2 Remake, is that it's a lot of lore building, which is fine, but I think that if they kept in some of the elements and stuff, I think a lot of the other things could be forgiven. Because, I mean, let's be real. when it came to RE2 Remake, it's a great game, but we forgave the fact that there was a lot of like continuity errors in Claire and Leon's campaign, like both of them fighting Birkin at the same points. Like,
Yeah, a lot of that didn't make any sense because in the original, Birkin Birkin was all for Jill's run, whereas the actual G embryo, the full size G embryo, was for Leon.
and the thing of it is, Mr. X getting killed in Claire's scenario, and I'm like, so how is he facing off against Leon again? I'm confused.
Yeah, that didn't make any sense.
I mean, it's a cool moment seeing Birkin kill him, but I'm like, so was there another Mr. X walking around? Did I miss something? All right, cool.
Well, no, see, Birkin killing Mr. X with that elevator moment,
Yeah.
that was pure her and Claire. On Leon's side, he didn't see that happen.
But that's what I'm saying, because Leon faces Mr. X at the end of the game, so I'm like, if Birkin fought...
Yeah,
I'm
Birkin
confused.
killed that one. Yeah, there is some
Was there
confusion.
two I mean, if there was two Mr. X's, okay, cool, that makes sense on that happening, but still, it's like, as far as I knew, it was just one Mr. X. I don't think there was two.
Well, I would say that given how they do have an army, because Mr. X really is nothing more than a tyrant, and
A better tyrant that doesn't speak.
Yeah, he's a tyrant that doesn't speak. He rocks that duster, which is actually a limiter. Same thing with Nemesis.
Yeah.
But one thing I didn't like about going back to Nemesis, one thing I didn't like about his design in this game was I didn't like the outfit they gave him. It's like they just wrapped him in a whole bunch of garbage bags with police crossing signs instead of just giving him a full-on limiter trench coat.
I mean...
And on top of that, how is he able to see when he first shows up in the game? Because his entire head is covered.
I thought he had like eye holes in it. I do remember he had eye holes on those things.
He barely had that. Jill shot one of them, remember?
Yeah, I mean, it's Nemesis, man. We're really questioning the logistics. Look, again, this is why I think the Nikolai thing made sense, that that Nemesis was able to still track things and stuff. So it's like, all right, cool.
Which also makes me ask this other question in the beginning of the game. Nemesis shows up at her apartment. Yo, Nemesis, what were you doing on the other side of that wall?
Playing a waiting game. No different. Hey, look. You go inside that toy store, Nemesis is like looking out you like
I know, he's just standing there.
That bully that's like, you gotta come out sometime.
Dude.
Which, again, look. Again, I'm gonna praise Nightmare and Inferno all day. That's some scary shit when Nemesis does a full fucking Usain Bolt speed at your ass. I'm like, yo, fuck this.
Yep. That did scare me a couple of times.
Like, if you're paying the camera when you're walking, like if you're running towards the camera and you turn the camera around to see where Nemesis is at, when you see him go black man speed and you're like, oh shit, no!
You know it's bad when the sound effect of his feet, like of him hitting the ground, doesn't match up with his actual motion.
Nigga, you hear the footsteps, it's like, oh, damn.
That's why I kind of.
That's why I wish they kept that energy on the other difficulties, because I think that would have probably highlighted the tension that most people wanted out of it.
Yeah, he wouldn't have felt so scripted when you play it on the lighter difficulties.
Because even if you want to challenge folks, when you get to the part where you have to turn on the power, you can turn back around and go back in the city. You want to challenge, turn on that power and come back and try to get all them gems and a shotgun. Oh boy, fun.
Oh no.
You want to challenge? Oh, have fun. Have fun with Nemesis really being on your ass the whole fucking time. Oh, he's on your ass. Don't dive into that room. Like I said, other than that toy store and the convenience store, oh, he's on your ass the whole fucking way. It ain't, nah, nigga. No. That's fun. Oh, it's fun. That's a challenge.
And dude, what a challenge. Speaking of challenges, I was watching, like, I think before I got my hands on the game, I was watching Maximilian's stream, and I saw him run through this game on Nightmare difficulty, and when you get to the final boss, the final Nemesis fight with the rail gun. Okay, real quick, I like the original. In the original Nemesis, in the original RE3 Nemesis, Nemesis drops down as like this blob, like this small blob of just disgustingness, and he's feasting on the dead remains of a tyrant, like of an old tyrant prototype, right? And that's what caused him to transform into his final form in that game. To which you're playing a game of cat and mouse, of you pushing in all of the battery terminals to fire up the railgun.
And making sure that Nemesis is actually in the railgun sights. That's the other aspect too. So in Nightmare mode and Inferno mode, and I'll even say Hardcore mode, because Nemesis, he's a blob, but he also has tentacles that you have to dodge. And boy, does this game make you work for that shit. Oh, it does.
I believe at this point, and I was like Maximilian, we're play testers for this. Because because how? Even on, especially on Nightmare difficulty, let's say somebody wanted to play this on Nightmare difficulty, and they want to be like Carcinogen and all the other speedrunners who wanted to go no damage, no infinite items, no buffs or nothing. You're just going to run through this game using what you have, right?
Yeah.
He ran through that game not using any of the buffs, and I mean 0 buffs. I swear it took this dude over an hour to beat the final boss.
Yeah.
I watched the whole stream because this version of Nemesis is extremely aggressive.
Yeah, I
mean, you know that one where he comes at you where he's pounding the ground over and over and over until it reaches you? There's that. There's you trying to avoid that. Then there's the one where he throws out the tentacle to slam down on the ground. If you get hit, you might as well hit restart because he continues to hit you over and over again. You do not get enough time to dodge out of that.
Yeah, it's basically, it's kind of like the SNK rule of knowing the patterns of the boss and you're fine. Because I saw plenty of people, you figure out the patterns and the slow motions patterns, because basically it's a race to get Nemesis down so you can put it on there. And doing perfect dodge, that's the way you're going to have to do it. You can't get shots, but if you could do it, you're fine.
You have to get perfect dodges, and you have to kill all the exposed weak points, and then you have to be fast, and I mean real fast, to get to those battery terminals to push each one in, because I think the higher the difficulty is, the more you have to push in.
Okay, so Nightmare, well, we both played Nightmare. Nightmare, just like Inferno. Okay, let me back it up here. So if you play on assisted, normal, assisted and normal. I'm not even going to put hardcore because hardcore is in the same class as Nightmare to an extent. You can basically put down Nemesis twice and then you're good to go. You get on hardcore, Nightmare, and Inferno, you're going to have to do that 3 times.
Yeah, it's about 3.
And I say twice for the other difficulties because you can technically push in 2 of the terminals on one instance after you put them down the first time. You can't do that shit on fucking hardcore Nightmare because if you try it, he's punching you off that shit.
Yeah, you're getting smacked.
So it's a case of you have to do it 3 times, which your butt starts clenching once you get to that last one. And you're like, please don't kill me. Please don't kill me. And you fuck up one time and it's like, slam. Okay, maybe I can heal. Slam. No. Dodge. It's a lot of trial and error. So I don't know if I could say we're test rats for it. I just think it's one of those, if you play it enough, you'll figure out the pattern.
See, it's not so much the pattern is, for me, it's like this. If I'm getting hit, fine. But even when you get hit, you have that moment of invincibility to where you can get up. You can still get hit after you stood up, but
it's like 2 seconds invincibility in this game. At least
yeah,
in certain instances.
it's you get at least 2 seconds. But when you're playing on Nightmare difficulty, the moment you get smacked, that's a wrap. Because he will continue to hit you, and you have no way to dodge it. Because you're in the middle of your hit stun where you're trying to get back up. It has to show that animation of you getting back up. The moment that you're trying to get back up, you're already hit again. You can't roll out of the way. You can't do nothing.
Yeah, I mean it's It's a challenge. They make you work for that shit. But like I said, Claire gets the railgun, and they went for a different railgun this time. It ain't like an automated railgun where you just put the battery in, boom.
Yeah,
It's like an actual. It's like an actual eraser railgun where it's like, oh, you're fucking done.
Yeah, I mean, they gave us a legit Doom style railgun instead of the experimental railgun, which was inside of this tight corner again.
Yeah, so and also there is kind of a sick. I call it an alternate ending. It's even though it's a fail screen. If you don't pull the trigger when Carlos got Nikolai, you get a funny ass fucking ending where Nikolai knifes Carlos and throws a fucking knife at Jill's head. And I'm like, well, that's interesting.
I saw that part, dude, and I said, so who was the programmer that was watching the playthrough of Modern Warfare 2?
I mean, I'll just say this. I like that low key alternate ending, even though it's not an alternate ending. It's like, well, I guess Nikolai won.
I mean,
he knifes Jill, and he's like, well, I win, don't I?
As a matter of fact, when he does that in the game, I mean, when he does that when you fail, I was like, yo, why didn't you have this same energy when you pulled out the gun instead of monologuing? You could have just shot her.
Because he's a cocky fucking foreigner, sir. You know that.
Well, yeah, and that's the other thing, too. When he pulls out his gun and leans over to shoot the vaccine, I'm like, dude, you once again lost. You already lost. You shot the vaccine instead of shooting her.
Again, he's a bad guy. Look, he's a classic Resident Evil villain that plays with his food. Wesker is guilty of that shit too.
Oh yes, Wesker is. I mean,
every Resident Evil villain is guilty of playing with their food because, like, I got all this power. What the fuck they gonna do? You do realize they destroyed the mansion. You might want to kill them now.
Like they destroyed the mansion, and they found the virus that will. They found the virus that if it's injected to you, it will overload you and it will cause you to get sick.
I'm just saying, all these bad guys keep underestimating the good guys every time. I mean, we see it in every game, so it's par for the course and stuff.
I mean,
yeah.
I get it with Chris. He does not have the greatest track record at all when it comes to assistance. I don't know how Jill manages to stay alive every time she works with him.
Nikolai just had hubris because, to Nikolai's credit, he played his role perfect because even like there was a moment where he knew the jig was up when old boy in the train, fucking what's his face?
When Mikhail
picked up on the fact of, yeah, it's kind of strange that your squad got killed that easily with closed doors.
Like, exactly, like kind of strange how the gates just happen to be locked too.
And that's when Nikolai was like, shit, I gotta kill this motherfucker right now. Oh, Nemesis is here.
It's like, it's like, oh, I'm sorry, this monster known as Convenience just showed up.
Which, I gotta be real, this is just my theory. Maybe, do you agree with me on this? All right. I have a theory that Nikolai, even though his job was to observe, I low-key feel he was helping Nemesis low-key.
Well, he was. He used Nemesis to his advantage because his whole job, his whole motivation was to not only kill all the supervisors, but also all the mercenaries and anybody else involved in this exercise.
But like when I say low key, because it's like the way Nemesis got on that train, I'm like, I don't think Nemesis knew where the exact pinpoint of the train was unless Nikolai somehow managed to get Nemesis to sniff him out or some shit.
Which is what I believe he did. He just, again, he used Nemesis to his advantage because he knows for a fact that Nemesis is not after him.
Because for Nemesis to get to that train, I'm like, that's pretty fucking quick, Nemesis. How did you know where the train was going to be exactly? It's like, come on. Like, but, whatever. It is what it is and stuff. That's a nitpick that's like, it's funny in a way, but it also made a dope moment where I'm like, well, if you were passing on that train, RIP, dog, because you were not going to live.
Nobody survives.
Unless you were on the train with Jill and just happened to be like, hey, Mikhail, shove. That's it.
Like, nobody survived. Like, and I knew for a fact when they showed all those survivors that were in that back cart, I'm like, well, those are going to be this game's victims because ain't nobody surviving this train ride. Like, anyone who played this game 20 years ago knows how this train ride goes.
Also, shout outs to Carlos with his Antonio Banderas' hair,
flowing
locks.
Okay. All right, you give him the Antonio Banderas. I said, yo, shout outs to Miguel from Tekken. I see what he was doing after he was done with this. He went to, he decided to go to his sister's wedding. He quit being a mercenary, went to his sister's wedding. Place got bombed out by both Kazuya and Umbrella, and he decided to, go on a revenge quest.
Yeah. You know what? I'll say this. I agree with somebody that said it best about this game. Inherently, for the $60 you pay for this game, it's worth it. But when you really divvy it out, you paid $40 for RE3 and $20 for Resistance.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was.
And it's funny, too, because I didn't download Resistance because, honestly, at the end of the day, I'm kind of over the Left 4 Dead scenario type games.
As am I.
I played the shit out of Left 4 Dead. I love that game. It's just I got tired of it over time and stuff because you play it so much. It's like, zombies again.
Another thing I want to point out is the hospital scene. Now, they expanded a lot on the hospital scene, unlike the original, where that was just a one shot with Carlos, where he can run through it. Like, he'll run through that part real quick. You meet up with Tyrell from the old game, where he opened up the safe and there was a bomb inside and he gets blown up.
And also hunters walking and running around the hospital. That's scary.
Yeah, see, the hunters in the old game, they were different. They switched, they changed them up a little bit to where they were like semi-mutated or decayed-looking hunters. They weren't like the traditional-looking hunters. They actually did bring traditional hunters in this game.
Yep.
And they gave us that nod to the original Resident Evil, was it the Spencer Mansion, where you see from the hunter's point of view, running through the halls, leaping over stuff, and making his way towards that door to try to slash at Carlos.
I mean, look, there was a lot of people that complained about a moment in the hospital, but I actually did enjoy it.
Oh, I know which moment you're talking about.
So Carlos at one point, he gives the serum to Jill, and they find out there's zombies coming towards their way, and he has to defend the hospital and stuff. I liked it personally and stuff because it did add another layer to the hospital mission and stuff for Carlos. I know a lot of people were like, man, why did they put this in there? And I'm like, guys, you remember in RE3, Carlos's, his whole section was all action. It wasn't like it was survival horror. Like, he got so much fucking ammo, it was ridiculous. Like, what are we doing here, guys? Like, come on. These are things that happened in the original game. Like, the game, I remember Resident Evil 3 giving you so much ammo and many options. I mean, you had ammo, you had enough gunpowder to make different types of ammo.
Yeah, you do.
I mean, you didn't even have enough to really... It was so much ammo they were throwing at you, you couldn't keep it all on yourself.
Yeah, no matter how many times you try to no matter how many times you try to condense everything, you really don't have the pocket space for it. You
got to put everything in there and stuff. So it's like I said, I think in the midst of everybody griping about, legitimately to a degree, Resident Evil 3's, the changes and stuff, it's also like, hey guys, Resident Evil 3 Nemesis was a semi-action game with survival horror elements, because this really was where the series started going to that pivot that we saw in RE4 to a degree.
Yeah, but in my opinion, I feel like that's just,
Granted, that's more Code Veronica than this, but still,
But I feel like it's kind of like a cop-out excuse to say, just because the old game was short, that doesn't mean that this game has to be short too. It really doesn't have to be the case. I mean, I look at for me, I feel like fine, you can expand on stuff. You can have certain things happen, happen differently, or you can still try to stretch this game out a little bit more. Not using unnecessary means of stretching the game out. Of course, with Carlos, his moment in that hospital being the defend the tower position,
I loved it, man. I was like, oh shit. I'm like, yes.
It's like, I'm shooting everybody. I managed to run in this other room, and of course, two or three hunters show up, and I'm like, oh come on, seriously, this was going on a little too long, but it was still an enjoyable experience. That is one thing I will give this game. I enjoyed it for what it was. Holy crap, could I make a drinking game every time somebody dropped an F-bomb in this game.
Now, granted, if it was a bad experience, I think that's the silver lining when it comes to the like where a lot of folks feel about the game is that like I think if the game wasn't enjoyable, it would have really made people say fuck this game completely. And I think because it's enjoyable, because this is where it splits the hairs with a lot of people. That's why I agree with a lot of the scores that has it at an 8. Because I'm like that's about right. 8 score is about right for this game because it did its job in expanding on the story of RE2, but it doesn't hit those highs that the RE2 remake did.
The biggest thing that causes a lot of the points to drop for this game is the lack of content from the old game.
Yeah, I mean, the mercenaries thing is, like I said, I think the clock tower, like I said, I can deal without the mercenaries, but I think if they at least added the clock tower, again, a lot of the stuff in the game would be forgivable. It's like, whatever about Nemesis, but I got my clock tower, I got my puzzles, cool. And I think that's where we can all universally say, okay, they could have kept that in the game. Now, that was where I had my problem with this game was the lack of the clock tower and the puzzles. Yeah. Now, do I want them to patch that in the game? I don't know.
See, so you're asking the question of, do you want them to patch it in the game? I will say this: I
just don't want to deal with the shitstorm, people being pissed off about it, which is going to happen anyways. Just because I don't want that to be a thing that Capcom has to do.
Well, let me answer this. I'll answer this. Do I want them to patch it into the game? I am not saying no. I'm just going to leave it at that. I am not saying no. If you want to do it, do it. It gives me more of a reason to keep playing the game.
Yeah, I'm going to keep playing it anyways and stuff, but like I said, Final Fantasy VII Remake's out, so I'm whatever about this at this point. But hey, it's on my shelf. I will play it up again. And look, we got an after credit sequence where Chris has that shot up vial of the fucking of the
vaccine.
And I'm like, oh, so we're definitely getting Code Veronica remake. That's already locked and guaranteed right there.
And isn't it ironic that scene shows up and then I think after it's been a few days now, the game has been out, Capcom's been issuing surveys saying, what other remakes would you like for us to make?
Now, I'm going to say this. I'm looking at you, IGN. No, we do not need a remake of Resident Evil 4. It's fine the way it is.
I agree. It is fine the way it is, but how would you feel if they did remake the game? If they remade 4?
Keep everything the same, but just update the controls, basically. Granted,
no.
RE4...
No, hear me out. How would you feel if they updated the game and they implemented all the elements from the early days of this game's development? Like, remember the what was it?
The ghosts and all that stuff.
Yeah, like the Ghost Hook Man and all that stuff.
I would rather they use that for like a new game versus trying to put that in the remake, because at that point you're going into territory where it's going to kind of butt
it goes into the supernatural.
Yeah, it's going to butt up against your story that was actually already good as is in RE4. It's going to butt up against it. Now, if you make a new game using that element, that would be nice because you had something good with that. But
yeah, they had a good idea with it, but the whole idea was
kind of like how we got Devil May Cry out of the early versions of Resident Evil. It's like, all right, cool.
Yeah, which ironically was from RE4.
Yeah, so I mean, look, I don't want them to remake RE4. I think that would be
RE4. And here, and check this out, CJ. You know just as well as I do. RE4 happened the way it did. The way that game was made, it was all because of the failure of RE1 Remake.
I mean, it was on the GameCube.
Well, it wasn't just the fact that it was on... Well, both games are on the GameCube, remember?
Well, I know that. I'm just saying...
I'm talking about how they programmed 4 to be an over-the-shoulder type of game. They programmed it differently because of the response that they got back from RE1 Remake. Yeah, right now, people love the crap out of RE1 Remake. But at the time of that game's release, a lot of people weren't really feeling it. So when they decided to go into developing RE4, they went with a completely different approach. They still kept the horror element, but at the same time, they gave you a little bit of action as well.
I mean, to be honest and stuff, I would rather they do RE1 again in the vein of what they did with RE2 and RE3 Remake.
Of just making it over the shoulder and extreme and
I
like
think they can
trying
do.
to make.
I think they can do
I would say
over the
make it
shoulder.
super. I would say make it super horror filled and just give us all the stuff that they gave us from the original RE remake.
Oh no,
from
that's what I'm saying.
2002.
Keep that element of it with the Crimson Heads and stuff, but put it with that over the shoulder thing, and it'll be 10 times as fucking tense.
It would be. I can see
Even
that.
with the updated controllers, you'll still look. Even with the updated controllers, you're still gonna have to deal with a running Crimson Head. Now imagine a running Crimson Head with the updated graphics.
A running Crimson Head with updated graphics. Hunters with running Crimson Heads with updated graphics.
Hell, RE0 with RE2 remake engine would be better.
I would like to see that. That needs to be remade.
That you want to talk about a game that needs a work? RE0. I do not want to touch that game ever. I don't.
Yeah.
I hated that game because they had good ideas, but the system itself was just whack as shit.
Yeah, that's a game that definitely needs a rework.
But
the original
Code Veronica needs it too. That's another.
Code Veronica needs it bad. Code Veronica needs it bad. That's another game that definitely needs to be remade.
I mean, if they do it, cool. As long as they get rid of the moth section or at least rework that shit, because fuck that scene.
I mean, as long as they fix it. As long as of course they're going to remake the game, which means we're going to get Claire again and we're going to get Chris. I would
Steve less annoying.
Yeah, hopefully they make Steve less annoying, and hopefully they don't kill him off. Because
he felt very last minute getting killed off too in that game. I didn't really like it.
Last minute. It was very last minute, and then for him to and for Wesker to show up and be like, I found something interesting. Who knows? You might see Steve again. We're never going to see him again.
Yeah, Wesker felt like he just came in there for a guest appearance just to troll fucking Chris and then bounced.
Yeah, he did. It's like if Chris wasn't there, Wesker would have never showed up.
Like, Wesker just, no, because people forget, I forgot Wesker was in Code Veronica until I played and I was like, oh, Wesker wasn't here for a hot minute. And he's gone.
Huh. Yeah, he wasn't even a boss. He was just there.
There, troll Chris, good evening, Chris, and then peace. I'm like, but you didn't do anything.
It's like, nope. It's like, Wesker, you're still alive, and then we see Matrix Wesker.
Like, wow. So that's a game that needs work, but I don't, because at this point, it's like, okay, so you're going to do RE4 remake. Okay, then RE5. I mean, you can't do RE6 because that's pretty much what this new system RE3 remake and 2 remake is technically using anyway, so.
Yeah, it might be using that over-the-shoulder system, but at the same time, you're supposed to be taking our minds off of that game because, it is widely, unanimously known that that game was horror.
I low-key like it in just the lore aspect. Just the
CJB.
The lore aspect. Not the gameplay.
Lore aspect?
Lore aspect, yes. Gameplay,
I get you.
no, it's annoying.
No, I get you. But be real. You mainly like it for Leon's. Like, for Leon's story.
I liked it for Jake's. I liked it for Jake's, too. I liked it for Jake's just because you play RE5, Wesker's fucking mercenaries and stuff. It's like, oh, that was fun. So I liked it for that. Chris's was fun to a degree, but I felt story-wise they could have made it a little bit better and stuff.
Oh, it could have been
But I get what they were trying to do, but it was like, they could have a little bit better, and you didn't have to kill off Pierce the way you did. It's like, come on.
Instead, Pierce felt like he needed to go. He was like, look at me. I can't go back out there.
But I just didn't feel the circumstances of him using the virus needed to happen. Like, oh shit, he gets thrown against the wall and gets pierced. You didn't have to do that. You didn't have to make him get injured to where he had to use it. It would have been fine if he was like the person that took over for the BCS, like the next Chris. Because that's what the story felt like it was going.
Yeah. Since he did get his last team killed and he shows up like, yo, I ain't like your last team. I'm going to keep this, like, look, I'm going to be me. I'm going to survive. You ain't going to get me killed and everything is going to be all good.
Because you could have had it to where Chris is like, all right, hey, you got me out my rut. Hey, you're the guy that's going to lead the BCS. But, Pierce had to die. But I guess then again, Pierce dying wouldn't have gave us Chris and, RE Vendetta. So, there's that.
Oh, you talking about Chris and RE in Resident Evil 7?
No, I'm talking about Vendetta.
Oh, the movie. Yeah. Oh, yeah, that one.
Yeah. Granted, 7 felt like it was kind of like, oh, Chris is working for this new umbrella, but he's still kind of suspicious of him. All right, cool. I'm
It's like,
fine with that.
so Chris shows up in this game, huh? One other thing I want to ask you about, did you feel like, who was it? Did you feel like Jill running into Kendo was kind of like an unnecessary scene?
Uh,
Like it didn't need to be in the game.
it was kind of like a wink and a nod to alluding to what Kendall was dealing with. I thought it
Yeah,
was.
because
I mean,
we know that we knew that his daughter had already gotten infected,
she
and
probably had just got. It sounded like she just gotten bitten, and he's trying to like figure out what he wants to do. So it was kind of a wink and a nod, like, "Oh, hey, Kendo, what's up?" And then it's like, "Oh yeah, hey, Jill, here's some keys. Go in the alley," and that's it. It's like, all right, cool.
it's like, but aren't you coming with us? I mean, we're gonna need a guy with your skills, man. Like, come on, like we need you. Which had me thinking, if he was on that train, Kendo would have got murdered.
Yeah, no Kendo in RE2. That's happening and stuff. But I do appreciate the game in terms of the dates and stuff, and the fact that like it got so dire by the end that old boy was just like, yeah, look at the news, they're gonna fucking bomb this place.
Dude, yeah, with Tyrell, dude, Tyrell walked into the room, sat down. Just the way he turned that TV on was like, dude, I'm sick of
I
this.
need a mission. You know what would have been okay if I was making this game and and I kept the game the way it is. If I'm really trying to add to the lore, they could have gave you a mission where you're Tyrell and you're leaving our Raccoon City Police Department trying to get to the hospital. That would have been dope to play.
That would have been a good scenario they could have added.
Because
I could
it sounded like
see,
he was going through hell when he got to that hospital. Like, oh Jesus
yeah.
Christ! And Carlos was looking at him like, "You okay, man?" It's like, "Yeah, dude. Like, I had to get through zombies, man. The fuck."
But you know what? I could see it. I really could see them doing that, like as a patch update, some kind of update to this game, because there is potential. There's potential to add more to this game if they wanted to.
Yeah, they could. Like I said, I think as long as they're not going nuts with it and it's just free updates, which Capcom for the most part, they've been pretty good about free updates and stuff. They, for the most part. So I can see them doing that as like, hey guys, we heard what you said. Maybe we'll add in certain things and stuff that can beef up the game, which is fine because if it's free updates, I think a lot of people would let that go versus if they were like, hey, for $5.99 you can do this, and I'll be like, okay, Capcom, what the fuck are you doing?
Right.
Because I'll say this though. They are so thankful that people are at least liking Resistance because I haven't really heard any bad thing about Resistance other than the usual. Hey, I wish that because I think Jim Sterling said it best. The Resistance is a fine game. It's just it feels as though most people would love to be the game master more than the characters themselves escaping the game master.
Yeah.
Which that makes sense because hey, everybody wants to be the game master. You're setting traps. That's 100% understandable. You know. So that's a debacle that's going to happen regardless. But for all intents and purposes, people are enjoying Resistance. So Capcom better thank their ass that they at least made Resistance fun to play. I'm not going to download it personally because it's just not my thing. But hey, if people are enjoying it, cool.
Yeah, I mean, I'm like this, man. As long as they just keep the game fun and entertaining, get no problems from me.
And that seems like that was the mandate for RE3 Remake. It's fun. Because if it wasn't fun, I think even with the complaints that we have, most people would like dump on this game badly. And you know what? I would understand.
And I know for a fact that more people would immediately go running back to 2.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm hoping, like I said, if they're doing surveys, I hope they learn the lesson. Like, hey guys, we heard you. Okay, when we do Code Veronica, look, Code Veronica remake has a better chance of expanding on things. You want to put Wesker in there? Okay, expand on Wesker.
Yeah, they know they have a lot of stuff to work with that game. But the amount of characters that are in it, they got a lot to work with.
That's why I want a Dino Crisis remake, because that would be fun.
But yeah, someone's got to convince them.
I mean, I heard Maximilian say that they had it on the table at one point, but according to them, there's no interest like that. Which okay, fine. I guess there's no interest in it and stuff, but I mean, I guess the whole idea is getting your money back, and how many people really going to go goo for Dino Crisis and stuff. I mean, I would, but so.
I mean, I feel like, hey, take a chance.
I mean, it's kind of like with me and Parasite Eve. It's like I don't want to play the PSP thing, but I will buy a remake of it.
Right.
So, but anyways, I think the next time you hear us, hopefully, you know, both of us will be knee deep in the Final Fantasy VII Remake, and we can see, much like Kingdom Hearts, was it worth the wait?
Yeah.
Because if you heard our Kingdom Hearts 3 episode, I mean, it's one of those, was it worth it?
It's like, was it really worth it?
Not
Was this
really.
worth waiting 18? Like, was it really worth waiting 18 years?
I mean, it was, but it wasn't. That's how mixed Kingdom Hearts 3 was, and I'm hoping that's not the same for 7 Remake. I'm hoping. I'm praying to God it's not the case. So,
right.
We'll see. We'll see. So, anyways, folks, me and Sue will catch you guys later. Peace out.
We out.
That boy is Benny Hanna.